Welcome back to our channel. Today, we revisit the story of a face that, for one incandescent moment, defined a new kind of cool. A face that looked out from the glossy pages of Vogue and the silver screen with raw, rebellious poetry. He was a Calvin Klein model, an indie film darling, a comrade to River Phoenix and Keanu Reeves. He seemed destined to conquer the world until he vanished. This is the life, the tragedy, and the forgotten legacy of Rodney Harvey. To understand Rodney's story, we need to step back in time and feel the gravity of the world that shaped him. The late 1980s in America were an era of contradiction. On the surface, it was still Reagan, Morning in America, an age of Wall Street ambition, big hair, and upbeat pop anthems. But beneath that glossy exterior, shadows stirred. Consumerism had bred spiritual emptiness, and a new generation was beginning to push back. The 1987 stock market crash shattered illusions of endless prosperity. The AIDS epidemic carved terror and grief through artistic communities, leaving a generation once invincible now vulnerable. Cities reflected widening gaps between rich and poor, fueling disillusionment. Out of this came a craving for authenticity, or at least the appearance of it. Fashion turned from the sun-kissed jock to a different kind of beauty, lean, angular, androgynous faces with soulful eyes. Photographers like Bruce Weber and Herb Ritts found beauty in imperfection, grit, and melancholy. Simultaneously, independent American cinema was flourishing. Directors like Gus Van Sant, Jim Jarmusch, and Spike Lee shifted focus to the margins, outcasts, hustlers, and dreamers. These films demanded raw, authentic faces, actors who looked like they belonged to the streets they portrayed. Into this moment walked Rodney Harvey, almost as if designed for it. Born Rodney Michael Harvey on July 31, 1967 in South Philadelphia, his beginnings were worlds away from glamour. His childhood was rough, his family life unstable. He learned survival young, developing toughness and street smarts. By his teens, he was largely on his own, guarded yet sensitive, aloof yet sweet. This duality, hard exterior shielding fragility, gave him a presence that drew people in. He carried his history in his eyes. Like countless restless souls before him, Rodney drifted to New York in the mid-1980s, not to chase stardom but simply to survive. There his beauty caught the eye of Paul Morrissey, Andy Warhol's famed collaborator, known for discovering stars in unlikely corners. Morrissey cast him in the 1985 cult film Mixed Blood. Rodney's role was small, but the camera loved him. His presence wasn't acted, it was lived. The performance caught the attention of fashion scouts, always hunting for the next unforgettable face. Rodney had that face, strong jaw, high cheekbones, soulful eyes, and lips that projected both danger and vulnerability. Ford models signed him, and his rise was meteoric. Bruce Weber's lens captured him as a dreamy, blue-collar romantic. Calvin Klein campaigns cemented him as the brooding ideal of youthful rebellion. Soon, his face appeared in Life, Italian Vogue, L'Uomo Vogue, and beyond. Campaigns for Perry Ellis and catalogs for J. Crew proved his versatility. At his peak, he was among the most in-demand male models worldwide. The South Philly kid was suddenly living in Lowe's Angels, flush with money and fame. But success came with danger. Fashion's world of parties, travel, and excess amplified the temptations Rodney had known since his youth. What made him authentic also left him vulnerable. His modeling success soon opened acting doors, leading to the role that would define his career and destiny. Gus Van Sant's My Own Private Idaho, 1991. The film starred River Phoenix and Keanu Reeves as street hustlers, with Rodney cast as Gary, part of their ragtag family. The role wasn't large, but it was pivotal. On set, Van Sant encouraged improvisation and authenticity, blurring the line between character and self. Rodney, drawing from lived experience, fit seamlessly. He bonded deeply with River Phoenix, two outsiders in Hollywood, both carrying deep emotional wells and dark temptations. Their friendship shone, especially in the film's iconic campfire scene, where actors shared improvised, intimate truths. Rodney's quiet presence feels less like acting than confession. But behind the artistry, drugs flowed freely. Some of the on-screen drug use was real. For River and Rodney, already experimenting, this was perilous. When My Own Private Idaho premiered, it became an instant cult classic and a cornerstone of new queer cinema. River's performance won awards and acclaim, while Rodney's authenticity was quietly praised. It should have launched his career. Instead, it marked the beginning of his unraveling. Addiction, indifferent to acclaim, consumed him. Hollywood demands reliability, calls answered, meetings attended, punctuality. Rodney, spiraling deeper into heroin, lost these essentials. Managers grew frustrated, auditions were missed, opportunities vanished. He was soon labeled unreliable, a fatal stigma in an industry running on tight schedules. In October 1993, tragedy struck. River Phoenix collapsed outside the Viper Room from a fatal overdose at just 23. For Rodney, the loss of his closest friend was devastating. Where others saw a wake-up call, he plunged deeper. Drugs, now his only solace, accelerated his destruction. His career collapsed. His income evaporated. To feed his habit, he turned to petty crime, stealing from stores, breaking into homes. Arrests mounted in Los Angeles and New York, burglary, theft, larceny. He became a revolving door inmate at LA County Jail and Rikers Island. Jail forced temporary sobriety but offered no treatment. Each release only pushed him back into desperation. The most tragic irony came when he was arrested in Italy for stealing from a Versace store, the same fashion world that once celebrated him. He was now a ghost raiding ruins of his own past. By the late 1990s, Rodney was a shadow. Homeless, drifting through Los Angeles, he stayed in pay-by-the-hour motels or on acquaintances' floors. Those who saw him described a gaunt figure, painfully thin, yet still soft-spoken, kind, and acutely aware of his fall. That awareness is perhaps addiction's cruelest edge, watching yourself disappear, powerless to stop it. On April 10, 1998, in a room at the decaying Hotel Barbazon in Los Angeles, Rodney's struggle ended. Found by a hotel worker, his cause of death was a speedball overdose of heroin and cocaine. He was only 30. His death barely registered. Unlike River Phoenix's highly publicized tragedy, Rodney's passing was a quiet footnote in trade papers. Hollywood had long since abandoned him, erasing him from its narrative. He had become a ghost before he died, and ghosts rarely make headlines. Rodney Harvey's story is more than personal tragedy. It is an indictment of a system that builds young stars only to discard them. His legacy isn't preserved in cult fandoms or glowing tributes. Instead, it lingers as a haunting reminder of forgotten casualties. To remember Rodney is to confront the shadows, to see not a junkie, but a sensitive, talented man lost in a world too fast and cruel. His life was a brief, beautiful flash, one that still glimmers faintly as a reminder of the devastating cost of dreams, and of the boy the world almost knew.